Welcome to the Business and Bubbly Podcast. As always, it's an honor to be here with you. I'm your host, Charity Majors, and I'm excited to invite our guest today, another incredible community builder in our community building series. And this woman is no stranger to building community. Her name is Lyndsi Weise, and she actually helps you monetize your Facebook group community with her proven Facebook group method. Lyndsi, welcome to the show. I'm excited to chat with you today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you went from like corporate to six-figure CEO and helping other people build and monetize their Facebook group community. I know that you do this in such a special way because there's a lot of people that are doing it as far as like selling systems compared to, I know you really focus in on the community aspect of things. So let's chat a little bit about kind of that background. And then I'd love to dive into maybe what you did right, maybe what you would like toss or change a little bit here if you were to start over. That way, if there is someone that's starting from scratch, they know some really good nuggets. And if there's someone who's like, oh, like I'm late to the Facebook community world, or my Facebook community is dead, or I'm in-person community, why do I need an online community? So let's just chat all the fun things. But I would love to hear a little bit about your backstory, and then let's chat about what you would maybe do differently or better if you started over.
Yeah, so my background, I do come from the corporate world. And then I went through, I'm also in Arizona today, but I come from Chicago. So the story is very connected to the fact that it was so cold over there and my commute was so far. And all I could remember thinking to myself, driving in the like literally an hour to and from every day was, and at the time I didn't have children, I didn't have any of that yet. I was just engaged and I was like, how does one do this when they have kids? Like I'm not home till nearly 7 p.m. Like how does one do this? And it was cold and you'd have to get up earlier because you had to beat the ice or you had to go through the snow to get there. And I remember like the feeling of like, I don't think I can, like, I don't think this is possible as a mother. So it all started there. And I got lucky that that company happened to move to Ohio. As I was navigating like what I'm going to do, I was interviewing around. I did, went to college. I did what you're supposed to do. And I wasn't seeing the growth that I was looking for. I wasn't challenged. And I would also say that like the people I was working with weren't the greatest environment to be around, and it was super stressful. And they just so happened to take that company over to Ohio. And so I went through a period of time where I wasn't sure what I was going to do until I landed upon a Facebook post. And I remember this person was talking about how she was building this business and the kids were with her and she would get paid and they were going shopping, and she would tell this story consistently. And she was talking about health products. And I remember I was in the gym working on my health on the side of all of this. And so she started to paint this picture of like me seeing like this mother who was doing something online, and it was fascinating to me. And it took me a long time to trust her. And she had to tell the story over and over and over. And so you fast forward months of me watching the same story. And she was like, you should really check this out. You'd be really good at this. And yeah, months of this and me being like, no way. And she had sent me that when I first talked to her, she had sent me the most awkward message. I'm sure you've seen them in your inbox where you're like, oh, I don't know who you are, what you're sending me. And so I was like, if I'm going to do this thing, I want to do it with a different approach.
Yeah.
And so I opened up a Facebook group and I was like, instead of me like coming at people, like I knew I needed to get the word out, but instead of me coming at people and being like, um, I've got this stuff and this thing and all like what we get all the time, I was like, I'm going to invite them into my community. I'm going to create a community. I am going to serve them in the community. I'm going to build connection in there, add value. And then I will talk to them about what it is. Then I will sell to them. So that is the story. That is how we are here today. And then as I built that out, I was able to really help others do the same thing. And they were seeing sales and growth. And I had hired a coach who was like, what are you doing? Like, how are you helping? Like, what are you doing here? How are you helping these people see success? And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And she was like, no, you know what you're doing because you're seeing like serious growth. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I've been teaching them how to build community through Facebook groups and like showing them growth and showing them what to do inside of it and then how to sell from it and, rinse and repeat. And like, she was like that. And she had suggested, this was in 2015, by the way, this is so long ago. She was like, you should teach this to everybody. Like everybody needs to know this. And I was like, no. And so anyways, that's the story of how I became aware of what it was that I was doing. And I started, slowly putting together how I'm doing this. I started to write out notes. I started to write an outline. And it literally, I was so nervous to go and share this, which is so interesting. But this past year, I launched the program officially in May.
Yeah.
And so yeah, now I put it into a program with group coaching and I teach you how to monetize, how to grow it, how to create the engagement that people are looking for, all the good things going on with your Facebook group.
I love this. This is like the perfect and prime example. One of my favorite quotes from a mentor of mine is his name is Graham Cook. And he says that when you do with intention, what you have done by intuition, you achieve acceleration. And
Wow.
I
So
love
good.
that quote because it's almost like exactly what that girl said, who she was like, "No, what, like, no, like, what are you doing?" You're like, "I'm not doing anything. Like, I don't know. I'm just doing this group thing." And she's like, that's it. Like, you intuitively did it. Like, that was just like one of your superpowers. And once we start to realize that things like that, things that come easy to us, the things that people are like, how the heck is this even happening? Like, and that is one of your superpowers when you actually do that with intention, boom, like we achieve acceleration. And I love, like, this is like the prime example of it. And this is exactly even how Business and Bubbly came into existence, was because I'm such a hype girl for other people. I'm such a community builder. Like, when the world shut down in 2020, I like gathered all my girlfriends and we started like a homeschool co-op. Like, I'm like the gatherer. And so this was just totally something to where it was like I started to do it with intention, just like you were sharing about yours. And it just is so fun to see when people really start to realize that and harness it. So what has been a little bit of your journey, right? Because it wasn't always like this, and maybe it did always just come intuitively to you, which I'm sure there's things that you've learned along the way, like what not to do and what to do, like especially when it comes to Facebook groups. Because so I think there's a lot of people who we know what it looks like to do it wrong. Right?
Yeah.
But what does it look like
Yeah.
to do community really, really well? Because I know my big heart is like not just diving into any and all community, but really finding the right communities, finding healthy communities, finding, like, if you're searching for a specific place to grow, right?
Mhm.
Culture, if we look at culture of community, if you think about back in science, culture grows things. And if you think about now a garden and you put in like, if you put a seed in the ground and the flower doesn't grow, like, you don't fix the flower, you fix the ground that it's in, you fix the environment that it's in. And so some cultures and communities are going to be right for people and some aren't, and that's okay, right? So what have you found when in your journey as an expert now in building excellent Facebook community? What have you found that people do wrong, and what's kind of that, like, that unfair advantage or that thing that allows them or helps them to do it right?
Well, the first thing they do is they just sell in there. they miss the point of community. And I know there are definitely a lot of gurus out there and people who are teaching strategies. And I don't know who came up with the strategy of like, it's just a sales space. And I mean, there are like local places where it's like, this is the marketplace, this is all we do, but that's not community. That's just a group, right? And so that would be the first thing, is thinking like, oh, I create something like that and I'll be able to make all the sales and build this thing. And that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing would definitely be, when you're building your community, to be mindful about who's coming in. You can ask some questions specifically before they get in there to kind of navigate what that looks like, because at the end of the day, like, a community is for a very specific person who's looking into what it is that you are going to share in that community, right? Like, whatever topics you're choosing to have that community. I always look at like the health space, and you have gut health, and then you have intermittent fasting, right? Like, you have two different styles.
Yeah.
And the person who wants to learn how to fast, they don't, them coming into here is like, coming into the gut health space is not helpful. They're not going to become a client. They're not, like, because they're over, they want to learn this. And so by really getting inside of there, what the topics are going to look like, I believe will help you so much, because we don't need thousands and thousands and thousands of people in our communities.
Yeah.
But right, and so that's, yeah, you just need the right people. So yeah.
I love that. So how would you say you get the right people into your Facebook community?
Yeah. So first of all, the name of your community, I think, is really important for people to identify. Like, is this a group for example, we could talk about motherhood and a postpartum mom versus a twin mom, right? So I'm a twin mom. I have twins. They're 10.
Oh,
and
girl, I love it.
The first thing I did was like, look for those groups to ask all the questions, right? Like, I wanted to be connected to those who got it. A new mom is going to look for a group that's going to have more postpartum conversation. They're going to talk, all these different topics that you want to talk about. Those, that's knowing the title of the group is first and foremost, because people search. So if we're putting names that are like just really random, they're not going to know what's going on inside of there unless they know you personally or they've seen something out there. So it's like the first thing, like same thing with gut health and intermittent fasting. You're like, okay, I want to learn about gut health. This person's talking about hormone health. I'm going to go over here and like learn from this person. So that's one of the first things to help you build community. I would also say just promoting your group and being very clear about what is going on inside of your group. Because like one of the most basic things you can do to grow your community is to talk about it, right? And to talk about what you do in there. Is this a supportive space? Are we networking? Is it a place to come network your business? Is it a place where we are talking about postpartum motherhood? Like, these are all different communities. And certainly you can intermix if it's a group for business owning moms, right? And it's mothers that are business owners and we're sharing, you have something that you are doing to serve them inside of there, and they need to know what that is. So they know this is where I belong. So that to me will help you really attract the right people. And the ones who have no interest, would never potentially become a client of yours, they're never going to join, or they're going to join and they're going to be like, nope, and they're going to go. Yeah. And I think we do that too. Like, if you've ever tried to connect with people on Facebook, that is not a community that you've created of your own, you might have gone into a Facebook group thinking, okay, let's see who I can connect with in here. And you're like, nope, this is not, I don't like the energy. I'm not feeling it in here. I'm going to, you leave because you don't feel like you're going to be able to connect with these people. It could be that there's not a lot of opportunity for people to post, talk, like whatever that looks like. It could be the rules. It could be that the people you just don't feel the connection to. And you will get that intuitive feeling when you do that. So those are the things that really help you, attract in the right people and connect with them.
I love that. So, what would you say are some really great ways to foster community in a Facebook group?
Yeah. So what I always want to see, what I like to tell people to do is be a human in your group. Like as basic as we can make it.
Yeah.
The other day I asked them, like, what was the last thing you bought on Amazon? And I asked them about like what are the kids going as for Halloween, right? Like super simple things that will help them feel like, oh, I can come in and contribute. I'll ask them like, what are you selling? Because these are business owners inside my community. And I'm like, what's your special right now? Or what's your sale right now? What are you offering? Someone might need that. Like, and so there's a mixture of talking about motherhood, what the kids, were dressing as. There's a mixture of talking about what was the last thing you purchased. And this can expand to like, show me your dog. Like it can be so simple. Sometimes it could be like what's on the dinner menu. Like sometimes you just have to like take it back a notch to where people want to communicate to that. Because if we're only talking about the business and like putting out our offers, we're going to get crickets. And if we're not, asking their thoughts, even asking their opinions on things, like maybe it's an outfit. You're like, okay, I have a big event coming up. I'm thinking this one or this one. Which one do you think? Even if you already know what you're going to wear, like ask them anyways, because people want to share. I spoke on stage a couple weeks ago and I asked this, and one of them was like, I was like, I'll be sitting down because it's a panel. And they said, like, have you sat in these outfits to see what that looks like? And I'm like, no, I should probably do that. Right. And so it's like these simple things where they gave you some thoughts that you didn't even think about. And this can expand with motherhood and with business and with shopping and like things that we enjoy. And it does create a connection. They start to feel like we're kind of the same. Like I get her, she gets me, she helped me, I helped her. And that helps because the more people know, like, and trust us, the more they're going to be interested in working with us.
Yeah, I love that because I feel like that helps close the gap of, I think that sometimes in the quote unquote expertise world, a lot of people can think, oh, like they're so much further ahead than us, or they are 10 steps ahead of us in whatever it is that we're trying to do in business or in life. And like the everyday stuff closes the gap of saying, hey, like I poop too. And
Yeah.
I get like,
over there.
I have a twinkle. I for sure have like breast milk and boogers somewhere. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's the hard part, I think, in social media in general, is you only see that, bright, shiny, sparkly side of people. And without bringing the human side to it, you can feel intimidated, you can feel unconnected to that person, and you're missing out. And when it comes to community, the whole point is to build that connection. And in turn, like when it comes to building a business, that is where we can start to see income, clients.
yeah. So how would you say, so say they're building community really, really well in their Facebook group, and now they want to sell. Is
Mhm.
there a way to do that gracefully without then swinging the other way in the pendulum and just sell, 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 sell? Like, do you have a certain formula for that?
Yeah, I have a couple different strategies. I mean, the first thing would be a basic, simple post and letting them know what it is that is now available, and making sure you have a link ready for them, or telling them to drop a comment and connecting with them. The other thing is that, and this happens very naturally, you end up in a lot of conversations with these people as you're connecting with them. They'll end up dropping you a message, or you'll drop them a message over, something that it could have been intentional, or it could have just been like, hey, I saw this comment and I wanted to reach out to you and like send you some encouragement. Or I saw this comment and I saw you were struggling with this. I don't know if you know this, but like I do this kind of work and I thought you might be interested in checking it out. Like it's super simple and soft, if you will. Although I do like being very direct, but like it's not that approach. Like the thing I always say is people have so much greatness to offer people, whether it's coaching, courses, products, whatever it is. And because of the approach people get in the inbox, they're like, they won't even take a moment to look and pay attention. And then they miss out because they were like, that approach was a little too much for me. And so when you're connecting with them in the community, going into their inbox is a whole different like feel. Now they're like, oh yeah, we've been chatting over here. I've been in your group for a while. Like, sure, I want to know more. So it's that way. It's putting out a basic post to the whole community as well, which always will have somewhat of interest and somewhat will be a quieter post. Like, I think that's just normal. Because usually they're like, maybe I'm interested, maybe I'm not, type of thing. And then the other thing that I do that is what I would call the back end is email marketing. So I make sure that they are on an email list. And that they're getting some kind of free guide, or I have a master class that I do that I'll make sure like they exchange email, I'll give them that. And now they're going to see all my emails. So I nurture that way. I call a Facebook group the front end and the email the back end.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. Because this is something that we talk about a lot, is to piggyback off of what you're saying, is that social media is an incredible tool and resource, and it's rented digital real estate, right? Like we don't own it. And I know for me personally, I've had, and this has happened twice. One time I was able to get my Facebook account back. The other time it literally got completely shut down, but it got hacked. And the first time I was finally able to get it back after sending him a verification, blah, 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 blah. And that was like the first time that it opened up my eyes, because this was like over 10 years ago, like right when Facebook was starting to come out and people were just starting to use it for business. And I was like, oh yeah, like, and I had my certain Facebook groups with my clients, and I had my other Facebook group with potential clients, and I was kind of starting to figure it out as this digital entrepreneur world. And all of a sudden my account got hacked, and it was like everything got shut down, and I was like, oh, how do I talk to my clients? How do I talk to my people? And it brought up like this awareness in me that, oh, I actually don't own Facebook, and I don't own what I'm building here. And so I need to be able to have a way to communicate with my clients, to still connect with people, to still like if everything in the world gets shut down, like who am I like
right.
reaching out to, right? And it happened then. So I started to build an email list and started to build a text list as text came out the last couple of years. And in December of 2019, my main Facebook account, I had over 20,000 followers, plus the 5,000 friends, like all this pixel stuff for all this ad stuff that I had done. And it got hacked again, and I couldn't ever get it back. And so it still is completely blocked and shut down. And I had to start over from scratch, all my groups, all the whatever. But it was this, again, like this beautiful, like, sure, I was sad. Like the biggest thing that I'm sad about is that the memories that would pop up, like that show me like my babies like 7 years ago, or the fun, whatever trip that my husband and I went on. Like, so I still have all those pictures, but I was able to understand the value of an email list and the value of a business asset like an email or text list that you actually own compared to social media, which you rent. So I would love to hear like anything that you got on that topic, because this is like this needs to be hammered into some people sometimes.
Yes. Well, my first thought is like, did you have two-factor on, or did you know what two-factor?
No, it wasn't even a thing back then.
Oh, so that's the first thing. We need that. Because at least then you get a warning, like somebody's trying to hack you or somebody's trying to get into your account, and you're at least can be like, nope. So that's the first thing. We needed that back then, but at least we have it now.
Yes.
And then the second thing is like, it is important that you do have these people moving into an email list. And I will say, like, that is something that I should have done from the beginning, but I was overwhelmed with tech and just like, whoa. And so there's a super simple service out there called Flowdesk that I think is a great starting point to create your list, and to create a simple guide or a freebie to, because like, it's like, how are we getting them onto our list? Like, join my newsletter. And yeah, maybe they will just come on, but like really think about what you offer and create something. Whether it's a video or it's a guide of some sort of PDF that is going to give them some great tips, because that is also going to build some trust with them and move them into possibly becoming your client. And then they're on your list. And so, yeah, I will say, like, a lot of the selling is done in the email, and it's done in a great way. But it works nicely. And then, yeah, if something happens to your social media, you have them all on the list, and you're able to send a message and say, had to set up a new account. We're starting a new group. Like, here we go. We're going to do this all over because I can't get this one back. And they'll know, join the group, so that is really important, because we really don't have any control outside of using this 2-factor piece. That's about the only thing, but we never know if the company itself, because I've seen people lose their accounts, not even being hacked, like it just went away, which is sad, because yeah, a lot of memories are created on there. We share them, and
I call it the Zuckerberg slap.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy right now. They don't even want you sharing specific links. They won't let the post go up sometimes, I've noticed. And so I think you have to put it into the comment right now for it to work. So, we got to play by their rules.
Totally. I know another thing that I've done that has helped is, I don't know if you're supposed to do this or not, but I actually created a secondary account called Charity Majors Team. Yeah. And then assistants or myself were obviously able to log into that account. I actually put that account in all of my groups. They get admin access to everything, so that like, I have multiple admins, I have multiple ways to access it, so that if, God forbid, like my mom's in some of my accounts, because she'll be able to add if
my husband. Totally. Same thing. So yeah, that's totally, no, there was a period of time where I don't remember when this was, but many of us were doing that. We were creating a second one. We were adding it to the groups, and just in case. And I want to say you can also add your business page as part of your group if you want, as admin. But yeah, I've added my husband, my assistant. I'm like, okay, y'all are on this, and the second. So.
Totally. I love it. Well, what would you say? I'm going to actually have you speak to 2 people or 2 groups of people. What would you say to those who are seeing the value in having a Facebook group, but maybe they're either starting from scratch or their group has been kind of dormant for a while? Do you think that they missed the bus? What would you say to help revive it? How would you encourage them to start to build it? So for those people, and then the other answer, or the other group of people, are the ones who are they're like, oh, like online community compared to in-person community. Do I really want to spend all this time for an online community? What's the benefit of it? That type of a message. So 2 types of people that I would love for you to address.
Yeah. So the first group, I get this question a lot. And what I always tell you is the first thing I would do is start scheduling a live every week and see what happens. What I've found in people who have struggled with this by going live and just to reconnect with the members, because like the whole thing is we created the community. We need to bring the energy. If we want it engaged, we need to start. Like it starts with us and they'll match our energy, right? And so when I have these conversations and they're like, yeah, I haven't been in there in a while, or I'm only posting my, deals, my products, my service. Like, no, they're of course not going to engage because they're going to feel sold to. And people love to buy, but they don't want to feel sold to. So that's why I believe it's so important that we do both. But going live is really a key piece to your group because they'll connect to you like we are right now. And they'll be like, oh, she's here and she's talking about whatever she's talking about. And I always talk about, you could be done with a workout, all sweaty, and jump on for 2 minutes and just talk to them. It doesn't need to be fancy. And yeah, if you want to do a full event and you want to go live and you want to look good and you want to share you want to show your business authority, your space and what you talk about, definitely, I would say do both. But at the end of the day, like that's one of the biggest things that I would say. The second thing would be to reconnect with the members and just do a simple check-in on them. Like, how are you doing? Like if we just had a special event, like the holidays are coming up. Are you ready for the holidays? Like, can you believe we are like 2 weeks out to Thanksgiving? Are you ready? Like simple conversations and being like, I've been out of the group for a second, or if you feel the need to say that and be like, I'm excited to come back. I don't even know if that's necessary. It really depends on your situation, but just like, what would you love to see more of type of thing? And asking just some really simple questions will help them be like, yeah, I'm here for you. Like, I'm back. I always say, like, they're here for you. They know it's your group. They're coming for you. They're choosing to join it for you, to hear from you. So definitely talk to them. Don't leave them. It's like they came to the dinner table to eat with you and you're outside, like, trying to bring other people, or I don't know what you're doing, but like
they're still sending out invites.
Like, don't forget about them. Like, go serve them. They are warm bodies. Like, they know you, they're excited. So trying a bunch of those different things. And if nothing is working, if it still isn't, then yeah, you can totally try a new group. But I've seen both. I've seen new group created, and I've seen people wake their groups up and they're doing great. They're seeing, their sales are starting to pick back up, and they just realize like, oh yeah, I wasn't giving it any energy.
Yeah. I actually, before you address the second people actually want to share this really funny story. When you talked about doing a Facebook Live, like sweaty after your workout. This was when Facebook Live was first a thing. And it was like, some of us were still kind of nervous to do a live. And I know for me, as I was getting into some different businesses and it was like pre-launch of my book. And I remember it was like one of my first Facebook lives. And here's how little it is that sometimes the fear that prevents us from moving forward in something like that. It's not always like these big, like, oh my gosh, they're going to reject you and hate you and block you and type of thoughts. Like sometimes it's the dumb, like little thoughts that pop in. So here was this thought to me where I was like, I had just gotten a great workout in. I was fired up. I was motivated. I had like this divine message, like get dropped into my spirit. And I'm like, I'm going to do a Facebook Live. And then I go to push record and I'm like, oh, but I just worked out. And this is like literally what my ego said to me, like what this dumb little fear-based thought said to me was, and they like, you kind of stink. So maybe you should go shower first and get like not so sweaty and smelly and then do your Facebook Live. And I listened to it, you guys, like I listened to that thought. And I went and showered, and then the time passed and I didn't do the live, and I lost the divine inspiration of that, whatever, like truth bomb, like amazing nugget that I was gonna. And it was like this moment that had passed that I had let like this dumb little thought that didn't even make sense. Like, I'm gonna do a Facebook Live. They're not gonna smell me. Like, who freaking cares? But that was like, sometimes it's not always the big like thoughts that prevent us from stepping out and like being seen again. Sometimes it's those little thoughts that don't even make sense. So to piggyback off of what you're sharing, like do it afraid, do it anyways, do it despite those dumb thoughts that don't make sense. Right? Do the sweaty Facebook Live that people are not going to smell you on.
Right. You do it in your stories, right? Like we're out and about and we just pop on up in the stories and we might start talking and we may have sunglasses on and we're like, I haven't showered yet today, but here we are. It's the same thing. It's just our group is where there is a much bigger group of people. And I always like to say, Instagram, while it has a purpose for its, each platform serves its purpose, but not everything gets seen on Instagram. The nice thing about going live in your community is everybody will see it. They'll know, like they'll get notified, like, hey, she's live, right? Yeah. And yes, we can see that with Instagram too, but we can also save these lives, post them featured at the top. And so like something that I did 6 months ago, if I have a brand new person come through, they can see that I know I'm going off on a little bit of a, sidebar here, but like, I think it's important to just know that like, yes, we can talk to our stories, but not everybody is clicking on them, right? Like sometimes they just miss it. Yeah. But in the community, it doesn't go away. It's there and you can pin it if you really want people to see it and they're going to get your message, right? It might be 3 days, 3 months later, but they'll get your message, which I find to be really important. But yeah, even if you're not showered.
Even the sweaty ones, do them. I love them. All right, let's have you address the secondary question that I offered up, and then we'll close it out. I'm sure people are going to want to dive into your world about how to really grow and facilitate Facebook communities really well. I know you're helping so many women that are in similar circles to us. Like we're actually in a growth container together, which is how Lyndsi and I connected. It's so fun. So go ahead and just talk to that second group of people, and then we'll make sure that they know where to find you and follow you and dive into your world and go into your group.
Yeah. So my thoughts on this are when you are meeting local, right? You're typically meeting like community, you guys, whether it's sports or mom's meeting or the church or whatever this looks like. And what I find in my experience of teaching people how to build community and building them myself is that there is something to be said about wanting to be connected to them regularly and not just in that one. And like, we can have each other's phone numbers and we can text message or call each other, but there's something to be said about feeling that energy of that community and someone can put out a post that could be encouraging, or they could be asking a question, and here comes 10 more people in to give them insight or to thank them, like, hey, I've been having a really rough day. Thank you so much for the encouragement. Like one of the things I put out the other day was like, challenge yourself to step out of your comfort zone today. And I got messages like, thank you so much for posting that. I needed to hear that. And we can't do that. I mean, we can do that when we're in person, but there's days where we are not meeting with the in-person community. We're not with each other every single day. And so the nice thing is that if you met yesterday and then this came to you today, you have this group where you guys still connect and you can share something of encouragement, or you can ask like, oh, I meant to ask this yesterday. Do you guys know about, whatever. Or if you're all local, it's like, hey, I'm looking for a new doctor, or I'm looking, it's just having that connective space for everybody to still like, even if, and sometimes I think about like, if I think about a church, which this could be off the topic a little bit, but like even the family comes into the church group, right? And they connect. And so do we need, that's another thing to think about, but that's how I see it. As a mom of kids who are in sports, we are a part of a big, big sports community. And I am always trying to connect with some of these people and I have no idea their names. And I'm like, if we just had a group and they all were there, I could like figure out, like, I'm trying to find this person's mom and I can go ask and figure it all out. But how nice while I'm sitting here to just go through a group and kind of navigate, especially when like some of these sports, like we would have to create teams. And I go through these moments like, I need to know her name and number so I can see if we could do a team together. Like it's things like that I believe local can have that extra space to connect over all different kinds of things, encouragement, questions, local stuff. Where's your favorite salad? We went to this new restaurant, you guys, it's brand new. It's so good. You should go check it out type of, it's just so, I think that's why I believe doing a group and your local community is important.
Yeah, that's so great. I love it. Well, Lyndsi, people are, I'm sure, going to want to learn more of your strategies so that they can utilize the community and the Facebook aspect of things in order to not only make better connection, to get plugged into communities. And for our community builders, I'm sure they're going to want to learn from you as far as strategy on how to be able to grow their own. So where can people find you, follow you, get into your Facebook group, and get closer proximity to you?
Yeah. So I have a Facebook group called Successful Business Women. Really simple to find. And I can send you that link. I'm Lyndsi Weise on Facebook, and it's spelled differently, Lynndsi. Very different. And then I am on Instagram, and it's Lyndsi Weise Official on Instagram.
I love it. Well, you guys make sure to dive into her world. We'll make sure to post everything in the show notes. But Lyndsi, thank you so much for your time, for not only being an incredible community builder, because I'm such a firm believer that community is one of the most incredible things that we can create and cultivate. We're made for connection as humans. We're made for community in all of the ways that we're able to create it now. And so I love what you're doing and how you're now equipping other successful female entrepreneurs to do the same thing, because I think that there are more people needing community than there are people building community. So we need you. Amazing job. Keep up the good work, and I can't wait to stay connected with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. I hope it brought some value and some fun into your business and life. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, and even share the episode with a fellow business bestie who you know will love it. It helps us continue to attract top-level guests and reach more and more women who are on their journey in business just like you. Remember that when money gets in the hands of good women, great things happen. Cheers to your success.